Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby and today I'm going to be doing my weekly reading wrap up. Today is April 21st and in the last week I read a total of 9 books, which is quite a few. I read 4 mystery thrillers, 1 YA, 1 women's fiction, and 3 romance. So that is a nice distribution of genres if you ask me. I will link all of them down below and I'd love to hear what you guys have been reading, and let's get right into it. The first book that I read is Life and Other Inconveniences by Kristan Higgins. This one does not come out until the beginning of August, but I got an ARC of it, an e-ARC, and decided to give it a read. I do love Kristan Higgins. She writes really good relationships between women, and this is no exception. So this one follows a main character named Emma, who she had a baby right after high school named Riley, a daughter. And at the time she had been living with her grandmother Genevieve, and her grandmother basically kicked her out when she became pregnant. And well, now it's like 16 years later and she has no relationship with her grandmother, but out of the blue she gets a call from Genevieve saying she is dying and she would like her and Riley to come stay with her for the summer to be with her until she dies. And for some reason Emma decides to take Riley and they go stay at Genevieve's mansion, and there is drama with the family, but also you get to see growth of Emma and Riley and Genevieve as individuals and their relationship. And there's a little romance between Emma and a local single dad. And this was really good. I love Kristan Higgins. Like I said, she just writes such phenomenal relationships with women. I didn't love this as much as some of her other books, but I thought it was really good and I ended up giving it 4 stars. The next book that I read is The Perfect Stranger by Megan Miranda. I actually read this as a buddy read with Nicole over at The Girly Girl Bookworm. I will link her down below. She had read All the Missing Girls like I had, and we both enjoyed that book, so we decided to pick this one up. And she didn't like it quite as much as me. She gave it 3 stars, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. So this is about a woman named Leah, and she used to live in Boston, but you know that she's on the run from some trouble back in Boston. She moves in with a college roommate named Emmy. They haven't seen each other in years, and now they are living together in this small town. Well, suddenly, not long after they move there, a woman gets assaulted and put into a coma, and the person who's accused of doing it works at the school that Leah does, and coincidentally at the same time Emmy goes missing, and so Leah reports it to the police, but she has a hard time proving that her roommate even existed. Her name isn't true, she doesn't really leave anything behind, and it makes her question if Emmy disappeared, if someone hurt her, or did she leave of her own volition and she wanted to not be found. And it is kind of a mystery about that. So you're solving 2 mysteries, basically what happened to Emmy and what happened in Leah's past, and in the end you get both are wrapped up. And I really enjoyed this. Both Nicole and I didn't really like part of the ending. I don't want to give anything away, but I liked half of the ending and the other half wasn't a fan. I like how Megan Miranda's books are not traditionally just like murder mysteries. They have a lot more like puzzle pieces to put together about other things that are not murder, and I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. The next book that I read is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this book. It's everyone's favorite Christina Lauren book, so I had to pick it up. And this is a friends to lovers romance. So it follows Josh and Hazel. So Hazel in college had a crush on this guy named Josh, but she kept making a fool out of herself in front of him. And now it is years later after college, and it just so happens that Josh is Hazel's friend's brother, so they're going to be seeing a lot of each other, and Hazel decides that she wants to be Josh's best friend, and so they become friends and they decide to set each other up on blind dates and go on double blind dates, and they basically set each other up, and all the dates go really disastrously and they end up every date at the end of the night together, and it is their romance. And I found this one to be really funny and really cute. The only thing I didn't like was there was a twist toward the very end that was not a favorite, But other than that, I loved it, and I just thought it was a really cute, lighthearted rom-com, and I ended up giving this one 4 stars. The next book that I read is an ARC called Something That Could Last by Ashley Cade. I believe this is the first in a series, but I am not 100% on what the name of the series is. I think this one comes out in either May or June. It is about 2 characters named Abby and Jacob. Jacob is in college. He goes to, I think, like an Ivy League, and his dad, I think, is a senator, and he has a lot of money. And he has a lot of pressures put upon him, and so he needs kind of a break from school and the pressures of his family. So him and his best friend take a trip to the West Virginian mountains for 2 weeks, and while he's there, he meets a girl named Abby. She is working at this like ziplining excursion company, and when he's ziplining, he meets her, and she is nothing like Jacob. She has lived in that town for her whole life. She works 2 jobs in order to pay for college. She hasn't had her parents in the picture for a long time, and she just lives a really different lifestyle than Jacob. But they have this romance together, and it is very whirlwind because his trip is only 2 weeks long, so you know that after the 2 weeks he's going to be going home, and it is kind of an insta love, kind of an angsty new adult. They're both in their very early 20s, so it's definitely a new adult, has some steam, has some angst. So I really enjoyed this one. It also left on a cliffhanger, which led me to believe it's a series, because there is no way there is not going to be follow-up, because it was left very cliffhangery at the end, and I really want to find out what happens. And I ended up giving this one 4 stars. The next one that I read is Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney, and this one is a rather short book. I believe it's less than 300 pages, and I blew through this one. This one was really good. This is Alice Feeney's first release, and her second one comes out this week, and I have it pre-ordered, so cannot wait to read it. This follows a woman named Amber who wakes up and realizes she is in a coma, and she cannot speak to anyone, she can't move, but she is very conscious of what's happening, and she has no memory though of what happened to her, but she starts to piece together maybe what happened to her by listening to everyone that visits her. There was an accident, and she just doesn't know what happened. And then you're told in dual perspective, so it is back about a week before the accident as well as her being in the coma. So you go back a week and figure out what happened, how did she get to this accident, what drama was happening, and then currently her being in this coma and trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And this was a crazy ride, and what I loved about this was Alice Feeney definitely tricked me. She did a lot of things that I love in regard to being tricked, and I think it packed a big punch considering it's so short. If you like a really wrapped up ending, this probably won't be for you, because I was Googling at the end the ending, because it is so open-ended and a little bit speculative about what could have happened that you're just left like, what the heck happened? So if you don't like that, it might not be for you, but if you are okay making like your own assumptions and being okay with that, then I think you would really like this. And I gave this one 4.5 stars. And then after that, I read My Life in Shambles by Karina Halley. This just came out, I think, on the 10th, so not that long ago. And I've never read anything by Karina Halley before. I did talk about it in my reading vlog that I did a few days ago. So if you haven't seen that, I will link it down below. But this is a romance about a girl named Valerie who in 1 week loses her fiance, house, and her perfect dream job. And she decides, spur of the moment, to take a trip to Ireland with her sisters. And she meets this really hot guy in a bar named Padraig, and he happens to be a famous rugby player in Ireland. They have a steamy one-night stand, and instead of parting ways after that night, he asks that she takes a trip with him to his hometown of Shambles because his dad is dying and he wants her to be his fake fiance. So for some reason she says yes, and it is their fake dating romance, but of course it turns real. And it has some serious topics in here. Both people are dealing with some serious things, and of course the dad is dying. But I didn't emotionally connect with those things that were going on. I'm not sure why. I really expected it to be hard-hitting. But what I did love about the story was Valerie. I thought she was a really strong individual, and I loved seeing her progress going from insecure to self-confident, and that was probably my favorite part of the story, and I ended up giving this one 4 stars. Then after that, I read Watching You by Lisa Jewell. I also talked about this in my vlog, and I really enjoyed this one too. I read one other Lisa Jewell a few weeks ago called The Girls in the Garden, and I liked it. It wasn't a favorite, but I liked it, and I was really in the mood for a domestic suspense, and this definitely fit the bill in regard to that. It is about this neighborhood in Bristol called Melville Heights, where everyone kind of watches each other and is in each other's business and doing things they shouldn't be doing and seeing things they shouldn't be seeing. And well, you know that one of the residents gets murdered, but you don't know who, and the police are interviewing all the different residents trying to piece together what happened. And so you're seeing currently these interviews with the police, as well as a few months prior leading up to this person being murdered, and basically you're trying to put the pieces together, but everyone seems like they could have done it because everyone is just in each other's business. So you're not really sure till the very end who committed the murder. And I found this one to be really good, and it's a really fast read. It was just a little over 300 pages, and I ended up giving this one 4 stars. Then after that, I picked up a YA called Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett. I have a couple of her books. I also have Starry Eyes, and I've heard nothing but great things about her books for like a great summer beach read, and I totally agree that this is a beach read. What I liked about this, it is a rough retelling of one of my favorite movies, You've Got Mail. So it is about a girl named Bailey who meets this boy online named Alex, and she uses a pseudonym online by the name Mink. And of course, Alex is probably a pseudonym as well. They just want to be anonymous online. Well, it just so happens that she lives on the East Coast, and her dad lives on the West Coast in California, and this guy Alex happens to live in the same exact small town as her dad. So he keeps asking her to visit the small town and visit the dad and meet him, but she's really nervous to meet someone she's met on the internet. Well, she does end up moving in with her dad, but she doesn't tell Alex because, like I said, she's pretty concerned about meeting a stranger, but she is keeping an eye out for him because she kind of hopes that she'll meet him. Bailey starts a new summer job, and she meets her coworker Porter, and instantly they kind of hate each other. He's always teasing her, he's kind of a jerk, but of course they form a friendship and ultimately a romance. And this isn't spoiling it because it is on the back of the book, but it just so happens that Porter is Alex, and she has no idea that they are the same person, and of course that's going to be dramatic. And this is a really cute, fluffy romance. I have a hard time with YA because I just don't think it has like as much emotional impact and substance as adult romances, but it was really cute for what it was, and if I was younger, I probably would have loved this. I wouldn't say that Bailey was my favorite character, but I really did like Porter. I think he was a really good character and well-rounded. So I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. I wanted to love it more because I've heard great things, but it just didn't fulfill all of my like love of YA, like what I'm looking for. But this was a really cute retelling of You've Got Mail in a way, so that's what I love most about it. Like I said, I gave it 3.5 stars. The last book that I read is also an ARC. I think it comes out sometime this summer, and it is The Perfect Wife by J.P. Delaney. This is a sci-fi thriller. So J.P. Delaney's other books I don't think are science fiction at all, but this one to me reminded me a lot of Black Mirror. So it follows this guy named Tim, and his wife died 5 years ago, and he owns a robotics company, and he created an artificial intelligent version of his wife. And so basically you're seeing through the perspective of this artificial intelligent person, and Abby is waking up and realizes and being told that she's a robot. But she has all the memories of Abby, she has all the personality traits of Abby, it's all like uploaded. So she feels like Abby, but she is a robot. And she goes to live with Tim, and she realizes just maybe her marriage, Abby's marriage, like wasn't very good, and that Tim could be keeping some secrets, and that maybe Abby, when she was alive, was keeping secrets. And it's just like a sci-fi thriller, and to me it reminded me, like I said, of Black Mirror, where it seems like it could be possible in the near future. I enjoyed the first half of this book. The second half I wasn't as much a fan of, and the ending just kind of ruined it all for me. I didn't really know what was going on. And I do kind of like the sci-fi element in it. I thought that was really good, and usually I'm not a sci-fi reader, but I liked that it was like sci-fi thriller where it was like kind of creepy. I think J.P. Delaney, that person's writing is just like a little off for me. This was told in the second person and it just was so hard to read. I ended up giving it 3 stars because I liked the first half. It's just the second half was kind of ruined for me. But I still like recommend it if you like sci-fi because it was heavy on that and I enjoyed that aspect. So those are all the books that I read this week. Like I said, I'll link them all down below. I'd love to hear if you guys have read any of these books, and I will see you guys on my next one. Bye.